Alright peeps, welcome back to one version. You catch me on top of my big fancy barbed wire aqueduct here. And in the last episode, we got this fancy pants rejuvenated river renovated. We got all of the amenities. The only issue is, there's no water in the river. And I've got a very clever idea of how to fix that. That is, to go ahead and renovate this Hoomans estate. The OG Hoomans estate. And like any good renovation, it starts with a fair dinkum demolition. Let's get all of this knocked out of here. Now we will reconnect the path, allow our beavers to get up to these lovely medical beds without having to go missions all the way around the map here. Oh, and we're also going to be whipping out a mad demolish job on all of this, including these laddies right here. We're not messing about in the slightest with this renovation. So now that we have a lot of maximum priority rubble on the deck, let's shift our attention completely to the cave here. Now, I'm not a huge fan of having the door to the cave being right here, so we're going to fill it in with a bit of dirt. Then if we make our way around to the side of the cave, I'm going to pop in a fancy pants tunnel in here. Now so we can actually see what's going on in the cave, let's whip the world away. And from this view, I see a few things I want to get cracking along with. First of all, look at this gap here. We could easily plonk a couple of tunnels down and have our beavers come and access through the side. We also now need to get rid of this brazier, considering it'll be blocking the path. Well, definitely worry peeps, we will be plonking a brazier in there. Well, let's connect our path around the side here, and it'll just schneck off into the secret cave. Now, as for these little patches of paths, we've got something very important going on in there, and that is finally going to be some detailers. Well worth the 1,000 science points. But another thing I noticed is that I am yet to delete this bloody warehouse. So be gone, including the stair on top. It was always meant to be a temporary number, and now it finally is. But as for the rest of this cave, I reckon we need to blow up these little shelves, and then design ourselves a proper fancy pants under the cave beaver living area. Now I am going to come back to see we're going to pop a fancy pants wooden fence all the way around this wee area here, and I believe that's it. Let me just double check like I did with the actual, yep, they need to come in the other way, MiGly. And then something I've been keen to do, any keen-eyed beavers would have seen in the myth-busting episode and a couple of these thumbnails for one version, we've had rooftop terraces on the floor. And this is how we do it. But even with our campfire taking up that bit of space, we still have two conspicuously empty blocks. Now first of all, I'm going to go ahead and unlock a big bell, because that's going to be hiding in the cave. The beavers are going to be up here on their Hoomans estate being like, oh, what's woke us up? It's like the whole bloody ground's shaking. And while we're up here, why didn't we place some fancy pants decorations along this lower path? Ooh, I wonder what this lower path could all be about here. And since the old entrance is finally filled, you can see our beavers having to go and run the back there. I can show you the secret entrance into the cave. Now in here is going to be mainly a big old viewing platform for all of the shenanigans that gone on down in the secret cave. Oh! Free plank! I mean, it's not free. I spent 6 planks to get one back, but I'm gonna see it as a free plank. And there's a beaver in here! I thought I saw a beaver running in here. They're dropping off some scrap metal. Hello, beaver! Oh, this is a bloody perfect time to reveal the secret hole. And I did get a comment about the smoke and the heat from the fire. Well, it's actually just coming out here, just blasting what will be the back of the warmest house on the map. Now, I did notice this when I was in first person mode, but my grand plan of popping bloody lanterns on here is not happening. I didn't leave enough headroom. Therefore, this is just going to purely be the back scratching section of the cave. And I'm not a big fan of these pother boots unless they got fancy hedges. So we're gonna real casually whip in some cupcake propaganda. Yes, this cave, the back-scratching section at the very least, is 1 cup of coffee a pop. But while I was waffling there, I heard some kabooms that should only mean that we're getting a bit of these tunnels in. Now I have high priority'd pretty much all of the TNT because we had a big old pile of rubble of it. Thanks to me deleting the one and only warehouse. Oh, speaking of one and only warehouses, I need to real casually delete this bad lad before it gets any resources in it. And while we're here, get on! Oh no, right. Look, some things occurred in the last episode where I only went ahead and cheated this bad lad in. So to rectify that, we're gonna delete both of these mud baths before any beavers get here. We're gonna sweep up all the rubble. And then we're gonna say, oh you beavers, some pesky bloody folktales came and talked your mud baths while you were kipping. Go ahead and rebuild those with a maximum priority. And now the reason I was over here is we can finally pop our big detailers down on these 4 laddies. Now you may find yourself scratching your back and thinking, why are there 4? Curious. And I'm certainly not going to be revealing that so soon in the episode. That's the whole bloody reference for the season name right there. Oh, free plank! And we finally have the path connected round the back. And now you need to know why there's a bloody fence disconnecting. Ooh, bit of TNT to blow up. Slightly out of frame, kaboom. Have you got this one in, beavers? Have you, shite? Hurry up and bang it in. How are you, man? You literally have to bang it in, that's it. And this whole area here is gonna be the eggplant cave. There's gonna be nout but eggplants growing up in here. Oh, and I've just noticed me precious planks and logs here can't even be picked up. Thanks to the fact I disconnected this stair. But we're doing the farm, so let's leave the farm real quick and then we can sort out the stair. Now I am pretty darn happy with that. Once that's built, we'll go in first person, we'll be able to go down, we can see all of the food warehousing, all of the water warehousing specifically, to keep these farmers nice and efficient. Now I am still waiting for a beaver to bang in this one bit of dynamite, unfortunately. We are going to put a stair down there, however, I need the beaver to access the dynamite first, then we can stair down there, and that is how our farmhouses are going to access our eggplant cave. Now, let's go ahead and fix this stair here by deleting even more of the feckers. Because this is about to get proper fancy right here. You know what? I reckon we could just easily do a fancy fade to a fancy new terrace housing estate here. Look at this, we're going straight up the hill. And we've just got all the bloody room to spare. To spare for some fancy pants shrubbery, that is. We are not yoking around when we see it. We have the fanciest beaver terrace gannon. And to solidify that fanciness, we're going to be popping roofs on all of these. Except for the one that lines up to have a perfect rooftop terrace on there. Look at that fancy pants housing terrace. And we're not even done yet. We still need to rebuild this construction site. And we're cycle 32 amongst us here. I'm thankful that we still have 7 and a bit days before these pines dry up and die. I was over here because I realised, well, not only do we have beavers grafting with now today, but I put a smelter in. It's not supposed to be a smelter, MiGly. So collect your 1% of resources back and plop in a wood workshop as intended. Oh, the beavers have already got themselves a mud bath in. It is a shame that it's not the one that's connected to power. They're going to have to wait until that one's in before that one actually works. Now, one thing that is making us a tad concerned here is how slow we fill up everything but the big owl reservoir. As you can see, we've got water cascading, filling this, which means we very much need to get this bad lad in because we need to blow up the whole side here just so we can fit in a fancy pants shrub. But the shrubbery is always worth it. Ooh, piece of TNT. Let's get a stair on there. Now I purposely set the stair back one from the main drag so we could have like a better sight line as you come down. I won't go into first beaver perspective, but none of this is built, so it would all disappear. But yeah, look, you kind of see that it's a sort of continuous line until you get close to it and you're like, oh, it's broken. But it's not immediately broken by a set of stairs. I reckon it looks a bit cooler that way, you know? Oh, and while we're doing here, do we have some TNT doing here? We bloody well do. Let's kaboom that. And with our beaver banging in from this side, accessing through the secret tunnel, we can confidently delete all of our paths back here. And with our path gone, look at all of that bonus eggplant growing land. Apart from, of course, one block here. As I said earlier, well, bloody farmers need to get done somehow. And I'm actually hoping that they can see everything, because that's as far as I can stick it out. Can you see everything? You bloody can! Only just though, because this farmer can't see everything, but that's perfect right there. Oh, I can't wait to have my eggplant cave. It's gotta be grand. I mean, the grandest thing about it is inside here and the back. But we're nowhere near getting this ready yet. Ooh, could the shelf be something? I reckon we can most certainly get a couple of beaver statues up on the shelf here. Ooh, and this is a cool little level here. You sort of peek into the corner, be like, oh, what up, bit secret cave, what you hiding? And of course, we're hiding all sorts of goodies. Oh no, beavers are up here. I just didn't actually put all the paths in. Or max and prioritise the stair that we needed to blow up the land for. The little inventor street. I'm loving like. But we need to go back. Oh, actually no, we need to make sure we're getting a bit of water in here. So we aren't corking these bad lads, because there's only 7 and a bit days left. Oh, there's the water. Thankfully, here is the water. It's all green up here once again. I mean, we aren't swimming yet, but we are showering. But anywho, let's get back to this bit of Hoomans estate, and I'm going to try my best to do a mad who's building speedy up bits. I'm not sure if I've got the right perspective here for me to be able to see what's going on. Well, that doesn't matter, as long as it looks proper schmexy in the speedy up bits. I haven't even finished building the Hoomans estate. I mean, it is coming along proper fancy. We're going to be going underneath our brand new extended terrace here to get to the fancy back scratcher cave. Well, and to be fair, any of this farming here, because I haven't put any other access stone to it other than the Hoomans estate. Ooh, we got a kaboom just in time. Well, the just in time part will be if the beavers get this bit of dirt back in just in time. But most crucially, we now have the space for our last bit of shrubbery up here. Look at our fancy pants unbuilt Hoomans estate. I love this whole area so far. And it's only probably about half done. We haven't even got stairs up yet. And that's because I wanted to wait until I was back with ye peeps in real time to delete these first fancy warehouses. Davey Jr knew what he was doing when he plopped those bad lads in, like, I cannot deny that. But anywho, for now, let's get ourselves a replacement path and stair on the gun. Naturally, we're going to have to plop a brazier under there. Oh, and a bloody brazier, or, because we've got the headroom for it, a beaver statue up on here. Now, I have been popping a couple of beaver statues around. We've got 3 thus far hidden on this staircase, but everywhere else, we've got braziers banging. Oh yeah, now, apart from the wee back scratcher. We got beavers banging that bit of door in, so we're not going to have any leakage on our big old reservoir. So our beavers, now they're priorities. Oh, speaking of priorities, you're sitting on your arse. Get a hauling. Ooh, and we need to do something about these haulers, like. We've only got 1 workplace available, and I need to delete this hauling post, because it's in the way of a Hoomans estate. And to fix our almost lack of workplaces, let's switch on all of our plank production. And why not bonus bloody... Oh, they're both switched on! I actually thought only one of these was switched on with our 5 bloody gears. But let's say it's because we didn't have enough planks. Oh, look at this! We got the bloody wind tunnel on! How close are we to the motivarium? Oh, not very far at all. I can't wait for all of this to be built. And look at this, peeps. We haven't even automated these reservoirs yet. We've got 1.4 days until the drought kicks in. We're brimmed up on here. Yeah, now we don't have any water really over here, but that genuinely doesn't matter because we've got the big old reservoir, which probably still has another 2 or 3 days worth of filling in it. I guess we can hope it's not going to be a 30-day drought like last time. Oh, which actually we just bloody breezed through. Not a single deed tree. I mean, I'm sure some of the canola dried up, but we weren't looking over there, so it never happened. Yeah, now beavers, I'm gonna go ahead and ask you to get the fancy staircase in. Our slightly less fancy underpass on the gun here. And rather importantly, our bloody inventors. We want all of them up and running. And while our beavers are busily building all of that, I'm gonna turn my attention to this area right here where we used to have scrappers and whatnots. This is going to be where we finally, and I mean finally, cop some proper storage. But before we get into any of that, let's unlock the big old warehouse. And I will try and do it in as much of a speedy up bit as possible. And considering that speedy up bit was pretty much getting these built, because I've completely redone what I was going to do there, let's just actually gone through what I'm wanting to do here. Now, first things first, need beavers knocking about. Give yourself a little bit of a scare there, but you know what not to do. Let's get our stairs down for our beavers so they can go into the back scratching part of the... Oh, look at the level on this, it's so great. We got some water likely overspilling out of here into this reservoir, and our rivers are just chilling. We're back to warehousing. I wouldn't mind having some sort of warehousing attached to this path, or maybe like, ooh, that could be fun. Right, I've just cut myself off there, but maybe like this, where we can have a double layered situation, you know? That could be canny cheeky. And you know what? That's what we're doing. Hopefully this even remotely lines up with what I want to be doing. Although you know what? That's not the end of the world. I could just pop a second path down. Path along here, a little something like that, and then we've got our 3x3 here. So let's level this terrain down to the level we're going to be using it at, and then see just how far we need to come across. By the looks of things, 2 blocks. 1 to actually fit everything on, and 1 to potentially go around it. For now, I'll just pop these 3 bits of blocks on so we can build the warehouse, because I am going to be deleting all of this here, potentially even this empty warehouse. And then as for over here, I would like to turn this bit of the reservoir system into, like, you know, storage. Considering it is storage. So let's start, as all great projects do, by slapping loads of platforms down. And I can already see I'm going to have to come out at least 2 here to fit our buildings. So I'm going to go 3 for that potential pathway I was talking about. You know I'm going to be popping a bit of warehousing in here, so that needs to be blown sky high. So if we've got a warehouse there, it would be cool to have a warehouse in here, and then we could start digging into the wall. Let's plop the warehouse in there and see how it would line up. So if we've got a warehouse there, which means we need path access here, we'll have a warehouse in here, which means we need path access up to here, which means we might be able to squeeze in that 3rd fancy warehouse. Or maybe not, because we're currently occupying this warehouse's space, and if we go up to here, we are currently occupying this warehouse's space. So maybe we can have this as a stair up. We'll need to get some double dynamite on there, some single dynamite on there, and switch these stairs up a wee bit. But not yet, because we're still using them apparently. Oh, beavers, no. Just empty that warehouse. I reckon we could get away with slapping a warehouse in there, and then we just take up, like, this bit of land. Ooh, we will be interfering with the valves. Look, we need to come 1 further forward than that, unless... Let's have a bit of a bloody squiz here. If we pop some platforms on, I may well be able to pop some large industrial piles. Yes! Oh, that is grandio, that. And we can just demolish that 1 bit of land. Boom! 2nd large industrial pile. I suppose the only issue with that is that this path now lines up 1 off, which would lead perfectly into just having the big old large warehouses plonked on like that. 1 of the valves. Although that all depends on how perfectly we can go back to back. Yeah. Oh, that is perfect. I'm very happy that that does not fit. Although I'm not very happy about the fact that this does not fit. Hang on, what the feck am I doing? Why did I leave this gap? MiGly, you utter numpty! With slightly less numpty behaviour, we now have a beautiful little grid, and we'll have a path going all the way around it. Now, as expensive as it's going to be, we're going to have to bloody tunnel this. I will happily blow these up and then put some dirt on top. But I didn't want to blow this whole hillside up, potentially end up slipping out of this reservoir, going into this reservoir which is not capable of holding it back. Or in other words, man can't be arsed, so we're going to spend the extra planks on tunnels. Ooh, and I may have had myself a genius idea to utilise this bit of space here. It of course requires a spiral staircase first and foremost, and I suppose hinges on whether we can... Yes, we can! Oh, right. Now it's getting bloody spicy. Get ourselves a bit of a platform on there, another platform on here, and then we suddenly have even more large industrial pile storage warehouses stacks. Not that I intend to be stacking like crazy this season. And I also just realised, if I want to use this I can't because it's a bloody stair in the way. Not necessarily the end of the world, but my plan was to pop. Let me just show you my plan. In case I ever decide to go for a second layer up on here, you can see we've got the level and we can now plop in another large industrial pile. However now, we can't access this, laddie. We need to rotate this and try and think of a way of getting up here that doesn't block the path below or above or anywhere. And I reckon I've figured it out, peeps. It's gonna be absolutely crazy. I mean proper crazy, but it'll be functional. The only thing is, I need to wait until all of these are in, so let's get it all built, beavers. More specifically, any earthwork that needs to be done, we need to get it bloody done. And since we've got 17 workplaces available, I think it's a perfect time to delete all of this area right here. Still not entirely sold on having to redo the one reservoir depthy, so we'll try and keep that for now. Although we are going to be entirely redoing the path up here. And when I say entirely redoing the path, I mean entirely. We're going to be swapping out that normal stair for a fancy pants spiral stair, so the switchback can occur. Now we need to complete our wee Hoomans block. Oh, look at what we got in here. We need to also pop in some paths so our beavers can access the wee cave underneath. Or at least they can once I blow up this TNT and get some bloody stairs in there. And then as for this house, you can have your stair back. And then to cover this unsightly hole, we naturally are going to get a bit of shrubbery on the crack. Now that is our Hoomans estate complete. So let's get our path wrapped around the back here. Although now I see this dodgy pathing. Do we have the path here and another block of Hoomans around here? I mean, it's simple enough. You got 2 blocks of dirt and Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Now that is leaving us with another 3x3 here where we could plonk in another large barrack. That is unfortunately going to mean saying bye-bye to this small tank and small warehouse. You've been well utilised to say the very least. And now you're probably coming to see why I was waiting to actually see if we're going to get a path up the side or where it's going to come up from. Because one of my initial plans was to pop a suspension bridge over here, a suspension bridge over here, and have, well, a suspension bridge, of course. However, it's clearly not going to work, is it? We've got a bit of a hoose in the way, or does this level just so happen to line up? Does it? Shite. Well, all that means is that we are going to have to get creative over here. So let's come out a couple of blocks so we are in line with this block right here. Then let's see what type of gap we're working with. 7. Of course, it's a bloody odd number. It's always an odd number when you want to be all symmetrical and even with it. Well, if you're going to be like that about a game, there's only one thing I can do, which is pop in a lopsided suspension bridge. So 4x1 can connect on there perfectly, and then we're going to go ahead and get a spirally stair down there. And now we got a fancy pants path down the side with a little bit of a gap down so you can see the reservoir level. And then we magically have 6 beavers when now today. It's like I just deleted loads of jobs or something. But now that we're up to 7 beavers when out today, we'll actually need to do something about it. And that thing that we're going to do about it, once again, involves demolishing all of the things. Yeah, that definitely dropped me arse about deleting that warehouse full of dirt. I shall try my best to work around it. For now, at least. And I reckon I've done a fair dinkum job there. We've got our dirt warehouse central piece, naturally of course. And then lining the reservoir river, we've got our haulers and builders. Also crossing the reservoir builder. Oh, and guess who forgot to install the cupcake propaganda up here? Now I have changed my mind ever so slightly about the propaganda over here. On the sides, we're going to be facing it out, so that the beavers coming up and down the stairs and whatnot get propagandaed right in their face. Especially the first beavers that have to go build these stairs, they're just going to be staring at that cupcake the whole way along here. And since I would like this small industrial pile to be doing something other than supporting the bloody one reservoir depth here, let's start accepting some logs in there. Oh, look at this! We've got a motorfarium up and running! Wakey beavers! You need to get your horses out of bed, sharpish, because you've got to go and sit by the bloody wind turbine and watch the bloody motorfarium show here. Oh, look at the beavers building the breeding pod, and then they start chopping down the trees, and then they'll start building their bloody housing estates, as it should be. And with 3 unemployed beavers, I reckon it's about time we maximum priority this final inventor. And this is far from all the storage we're going to be doing in one version. This is just the beginning here. Ooh, and I'm round here up in priorities and everything for the speedy up bit we're about to jump into. And we can now plop our rooftop terraces down. And one thing I can say is that we've got these big ledge beavers up here built. So let's recycle our precious plank and logs. So why didn't we whip out that speedy up bit where we get to see the beavers banging in the new housing estate as well as a bit of the warehousing estate. And by the sounds of things, our beavers are loving our new entertainment cave. We are also going to see our reservoir Gandoon. Well, thankfully, the river that dries up is off screen, so it's no concern of ours. But for now, I'm just enjoying watching these buildings pop into existence, as well as those oaks around the slurping pool turning gold whenever the fill valve switches on. Only temporarily though, so it's all tickety-boo. And what do you think of me bit terrace housing estate? I reckon it should look alright myself. Although what I absolutely am keen about is that cave right there. I love what's going on inside that cave. The back scratching, the ultimate detailing. And then round the back of the secret cave, we've got some rooftop terraces at ground level, some campfires, and once we've got enough science points, something to make the beavers feel proper chuffed. But until then, we should definitely just sit back and watch our fancy shrubbery get banged in along with our oozes. Oh, come on to the speedy up bit! Cycle 33 has begun. And let's celebrate that by going big kaboomy booms on the corner. I swear I pressed detonate now, yeah, armed. What's with the big delay? Were you waiting for beavers to get dangerously close to it or something? Oh, look at those fancy tails. Oh, they do look good, but we're not zooming in too far. We're not giving it all away just yet. If you didn't think this was just going to be pure warehouses, we're going to have to get some water stored up for our beavers, as well as some very important coffee. Oh, peeps! Copper deeks are those bloody impermeable floors doing there with the sun gleaming off it under the water. That looks proper schmexy. But anywho, enough gushing on... Now we've got to gush over those underwater reflections just a bit more. But anywho, enough gushing our underwater reflections. Take a look at how our water flows not only down an hour to fill both reservoirs and the cascade, but slipping off round the side. Ah, fell in! Thankfully, I'm fluid enough to get through those valves. Well, yeah, now, oh yeah, I thought these ones were built. I forgot we're bridging across this. Yeah, look at this. It's actually starting to come together and everything. Oh, yes. Look at our fancy pants housing estate before we can do the... Oh, that's glorious. But before we can do there, we must have a digs at this rooftop terrace here, where you can overlook both the rivers. Oh, you can see the barbed water aqueduct. You can see the terrace of inventors spinning their tops, making sure everything's crafting. But for now, let's just hippity hop off this building and just admire the bloody beautiful terrace we have. Even if it's not all roofed up. Oh, but yeah, now, this leads me perfectly into going underneath the metal workshop to get down past the beaver statues. Oh, watch how good at you here, beaver. You continue building. I love the spiral staircases like. I reckon this is properly transformed this little area. It was just a single bit of dodgy Hoosian estate. No, it's that same bit of dodgy Hoosian estate, the 4 blocks and then the one over the top, but it's been rebuilt to be proper fancy. And that's not even including the fact that if you're a beaver, you can go down there and go right on the other side of this house here and have yourself a bit of cupcake propaganda, yes! And soon, a bit of back scratching. Oh, but we can't have gone too far in there, because we didn't want to spoil the detailers now, do we? And now let's crack off out of that secret area of the cave, go down these stairs, and ideally see some beavers. Not necessarily sitting on their arse, but having loads of bloody eggplants planted down. Now while we make our way around, we do not have the fencing in. But we do have our beaver statues up there, the laddies that built this big old cave / reservoir. Honestly, it's a kind of magic. But anywho, back into the daylight. It was always daylight. We were just in another secret big cave. But yeah, now peeps, for real, while we've got the water creeping up another level here on our big old reservoir, let's scoot the world away once again so we can finally plop down our big old flame of unity in the cave. As well as our last bit of campfire here. Then our beavers, that is a high priority, that is a paused priority. Although no paused priorities. I've just got standard priorities and I believe in our beavers. So let us whip out a fancy, well not so fancy, a dingy old end of episode. Speedy up it while our beavers banging these fences, the shrubbery, the bushes, the bell, and ideally the flame of unity. I do hope you've enjoyed this episode of one version. Be keen for the next one, where we're either going to put a hat on the aqueduct or turn our reservoir into a farm. Not saying which reservoir, or which one we're gonna do first. Have yourselves a canny old weekend, and I'll catch you on Monday. Toodles!